Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is the Cocoa Nomad, where I talk about remote work and location independence. And this is yet another work I'm working on episode. So I keep you updated on the things that I'm working on and use a specific format and hope that you follow along in your own journey wherever you are. So let's go ahead and get started. What went well in this past, I guess it's been 2 weeks now. So I didn't do a weekly one last week. I was on vacation. I was in Cozumel and that went well. So I finally made it back to Cozumel. I've returned to Mexico since the last video. I was in Guatemala for 2 months and had a great time, but it was time for me to go ahead and move on. And it was time for me to start making some plans for the fall. And I wrestled with a couple of those choices that I've talked about before. I decided that I would come back to Playa Del Carmen for a month because it's sort of like my home base in some ways. Spent a lot of time here in the last few years, made a lot of friends, and it's very comfortable and easy for me. So I was able to just come back here, get an apartment for a month. I will continue to travel and I have some specific plans for the rest of this year. But coming back here to Playa, having a weekend in Cozumel, having some fun, it was excellent. The weather was great. The water was beautiful. I was able to get in the water, which is a problem here with all the seaweed on this side of the water in Playa. They're having to clean up a lot of the sargasso and it's really bad. It smells. People are complaining. It was an issue a few years ago when I came, and maybe it's as bad, if not worse, than it was then. So it definitely kind of hinders if you're a super beach lover, which I'm not. Like I live here in a beach town, but I don't spend a lot of time on the beach, honestly. So it didn't really affect me as much as it affects a lot of other people. But Cozumel was great. Went out and saw some great live music a couple of nights and celebrated the holidays. And it was a great break. So the next thing that worked really well was my fasting for the past week, or the past 7 days at least. I got in some longer fast. On average, I'm averaging about 16 and a half hours, which is really good because I didn't always skip breakfast. It's easier to hit 16 hours if I don't have breakfast because then it's just a shorter eating window. But it went really well. So along with being here in this apartment building and having access to some workout equipment upstairs that I really was excited about and got a chance to use that as well, and sort of getting into a routine here, which for a 1 month stay is like I try to really nail down that routine within the first week and sort of make sure that I'm doing the things that I like doing, having the things that I like having. The nice thing about this, of course, is being back here in Playa is I'm in the same neighborhood I lived in before when I was here earlier this year. So it's really, really straightforward and simple. The taco place is right around the corner. I know I'm close to the Mega and the Walmart and all that stuff. So, and the florist, everything that I normally do is like right here. So that's great. I also had always some people coming in and out of town, although mostly people are leaving right now, that I know at least, other than people who just live here. They're either on vacation, going to some other places. We got some friends that went to Guatemala and some friends that are touring the rest of Mexico, going back to Mexico City, things like that. And then some friends who are just moving on. They're just moving on to the next place in their journey, which you have happened a lot. If you are nomadic, you're going to sort of be crossing paths with lots of people, and you want to get comfortable with that. You want to just sort of, there may be a base of friends and the base of your community and things to do, but there's always going to be some change. Now I for one actually like it. I'm used to it. It's just part of my life, and it always has been actually. But for some people, it definitely takes some adjustment, and you may want to make some decisions about where you go and where you stay if you want a more stable community of people who aren't traveling around as much, and you can sort of count on that routine if you really want that in your life. The last thing that went well that I really am excited about is I've mentioned I've been interviewing to go back to the company I used to work for, TeamSnap. And I'm super excited to say that I have signed an offer and I will be starting in August. So August 11th, I will be back at TeamSnap as an iOS developer. Really excited about it. During the interviews, there were some great things about the direction the team is going in, the direction the company's going in. And I'm excited about working with this group again, and some new people. Not everyone who was there before, of course, is there now. Many of the people are there, many have gone. But I'm really excited about it, and I'm looking forward to diving in. I wanted to start earlier, actually. I actually was hoping to start this week, but they didn't have an onboarding session available until August. I was like, okay, I can finish some other stuff that I'm working on and do some other things before I return. So it's great news. I'm super excited about it, and I'll talk more about that, but it mostly will probably be on my Swift UI MVP channel, because it is an iOS developer's job. I will be doing a lot more in that realm and just sharing not job specific things, but like Swift UI development things. And as I'm working with a team, as we're sort of migrating code over, it's an opportunity to share some of the basics and then just some of the things that you can do with Swift UI, and along with some of the other projects that I already have working on and apps that I've been working on with Swift UI. So if you're interested in that, I'll drop a link to the Swift UI MVP channel and get some things going over there so that you can follow along if you're interested in development. So let's move into what didn't work well. The biggest thing that I had happen is yet another casualty with my Apple devices in Cozumel and just these side trips. Actually, the last one I can't blame on Cozumel was actually Akumal. So earlier this year, I went snorkeling with the turtles, and I took my iPhone, which was an iPhone 7S, I think, or 7 Plus, and I thought I'd seal the bag when I was trying to film the turtles, and it was really cool. And but water seeped in and my phone died and I couldn't recover it. Well, this time I'm in Cozumel and I have my Apple Watch, which I'm not wearing right now, and we were in the pool and in the ocean, and I thought everything was fine because it was like I was literally shoulder height in the water, just like this. So going no deeper than like having my hands down at my knees. And for whatever reason, I went to charge the watch. It looked like everything was fine, just like the phone before it, and boom, it's not working anymore either. So I've lost 2 Apple devices to the Caribbean in the last year. So the good news is this was an upgrade year anyway. I didn't plan on buying the replacement phone, which is actually what I'm filming with right now, which is an iPhone SE. I got that as a stopgap because I wasn't sure when I was going back to the States. I will be returning to the US on July 30th, and I will do an equipment upgrade. So I'm getting a new phone, I'll get a new watch, and I will be getting a new laptop because that one's overdue. It's like 6 years old, and I'm really feeling the slowness when I'm trying to build projects. It's super duper slow, and I'm gonna downgrade in size because the job is providing a laptop, and then I'll have my personal laptop for my own projects and recording and doing these kinds of things on the channel. And I don't want those 2 things to mix. So I'm downgrading them. Hopefully that they'll be giving me an Air, and I'll get another Air. So I'll have about like 5, almost 6 pounds to carry, which is pretty close to the size of the laptop that I already have. It's just over 5.5 pounds, I believe. So I'm just trying to manage that weight distribution. I've got to get rid of some stuff in my bag when I go back, or get a bigger bag, but I want to make sure I'm not going over some of the international limits. I am definitely within the limits for traveling domestically or within this part of the world, but I know when I go to Asia, the limits are a little bit lower. I think it's like 20 kilos if I remember, or just being prepared to pay for the extra bag. And I did do that. And one of the things that I did was I got a second bag. So this has become my new day pack. I lost my waterproof day pack, which I'm a big fan of. It's one of the 3 essential things that I think people should carry is a day pack, a quick dry towel, and a water bottle. And I didn't have the day pack, but it came in very handy when I was in Guatemala for the hikes. So I could put everything in there, and I could have equipment. And if I wanted to do like a quick overnight, it's enough room in there to do, which I did in Cozumel. So it's like, it's very handy. I'll do a more detailed video about that, but it'll be really quick. But if you're watching here, you kind of got the gist of it, at least from the standpoint of the bag. What have I learned? That one's interesting because I've been learning a lot about just the way that I work and how things are changing. So I've realized that even in wanting to go back to work, full-time job, because this is what this is. It's not a contract, which I've been doing for the last 5.5 years, and doing like contracting and freelance work sort of ad hoc when I want to, working on specific projects. I realized that I missed a lot of the team dynamic, and I missed having some anchor. I mentioned this in a previous video about that true North Star. And by that, I did mean more in life and like where I'm headed. because I just kind of gotten to a point where I've been living this sort of life, and it's been fun and it's great, and I'm going to continue to do it. But I also needed to make some changes. And one of those is just having that sort of stability within this lifestyle. I think would be really nice. And I just miss the team dynamic. Most of the project I work on, even as a contractor, at most I work with one other developer. And so there's only two opinions in the room when it comes to code. And I'm moving back into a team environment where there are more. So there are more voices in the room in terms of the architecture and the approach we take to solving problems, which I think is invaluable. You don't want too many, but I really do think all the best jobs, and this is literally the best job I've ever had, which is why I'm back. But I had another job before with a small team, which is also great. And even as a contractor, when we had a team of 4, I just find it like around 4 to 5 to 6 people working on a project is sort of ideal. There's enough voices in the room for variety and diversity in terms of getting these ideas, and then sort of divvying up the work, which can be a challenge. There's communication challenges and code merge challenges. If you're a developer, you know what I'm talking about, merge conflicts. So you have to be careful about that stuff. But I think the pros outweigh the cons. And so I'm learning that I really did miss that. I know there's a controversy around like the stability of a full-time job and these kinds of things. I don't really buy into that. I'm just like, it sounds great, but like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, we have to really stop this idea that like having a full-time job or having an employer is like some kind of bad thing. It's like, it's not. You can do both. Like, there's nothing stopping you from having like side project. If you want to build a business full-time, you can do that too. There's no wrong answers with that. I think the issue that people have is a lot of times is they just don't like their jobs. Like, you work in a place that you're not happy, or you're doing work that you don't like. So that's different. And if you have a business you don't like, I mean, I know attorneys that hate practicing law. They're independent, but they don't like it. So it's like, being your own boss is not going to just magically solve that problem. And that's one of the things I think learning is like not fighting that. Like, I felt like for so long as an indie developer that I wanted to make my apps happen in the App Store. And when that didn't happen, I really did feel like a failure. And I had to stop that. It's just like, no, just like it didn't work. But you can continue to make stuff that you love to make. And that's where it is. Like, I'm still writing code on the side. I still have little projects. I have apps that I run on my phone that I don't even put out because they're useful and I enjoy them and it's fun and I don't have to lose that. So they're not mutually exclusive, which is another thing that I've mentioned before. Like, these paths that we take in life, they don't have to just be, I just do this one thing. Like, no, you can do multiple things. You just have to make time for the things that you want to do. And that's the biggest lesson. So that takes me into what puzzles and scares me, which kind of linked to that. I was scared that I wouldn't pursue my side projects and things that I like doing if I went back to full-time work. And honestly, I don't think that's true. In fact, I think some of these things will be better because of it, because like having an anchor and setting aside time, I've had an abundance of time. I've done multiple mini retirements. I've had time to do whatever I want. And a lot of times what I've wanted to do is absolutely nothing, which I've done. And I'm kind of over that now. Just like, I'm ready to get back into a little more formal work, a little more teamwork, a more regimented schedule. I do miss a lot of that. And in that regard, I may actually be returning to like a larger city, because that's kind of, for me, like that vibe that I like. So it's really possible I'll end up in the future in Mexico City or Lisbon, are the two largest choices right now. I may pick another larger city just to have that vibe. It's just something about it that I just really miss and I really like a lot. So those are two possibilities that are coming up by the end of the year that I'll probably relocate. So we'll see. And that answers what I'm going to do differently. Because one of the other things I miss about being in a big city is walking. Like, I can walk here in Playa, but it is super hot and humid. And man, oh man, like, I had forgotten how humid it really was until I came back, and I am boiling. So like, even in the morning, I'm just like, ugh, I don't want to go out here and walk. So at the best, I can do my rooftop workout. And then I'm like, maybe tonight, I'll wait until tonight and go out and walk a little bit, get my steps in, which is harder when you don't have a watch. So we've got to solve that problem as well, but we'll be rectifying that. So that's what's coming up next, is the return to the US. I do have a couple of stops I'd like to try from a nomad standpoint and talk about. I've never done a co-living community. And so I'm looking at going to Belize and participating in a co-living community for 2 to 4 weeks, and then going to Dominica and checking out their digital nomad environment to see how that works. Because I haven't done an island either, like an entire island country. So I'm going to see what that's like as well. So that should be August and September, and then moving into October. And then from there, that's when I'm probably looking at returning to Europe, or I'm going back to Mexico City to do a month or two there. But I do miss Europe, and that time of year is great. While I was there, it's not too hot, it's not too cold. I also miss wearing sweaters, so both of those places will allow me to do that as well. So we'll see. Thanks for listening and keeping up. Drop in the comments what you are doing. If you have any plans, if you're a nomad and you're looking at a new place to go to this fall, I am curious to where you're going to go. I'm still trying to come up with some other options for places to travel. I'd like to slow travel my way back, if I can work my way back to Asia, or at least maybe West Africa, because that's another thing that I'm thinking about doing. It's like going to Europe and then going down to West Africa, checking out Senegal, and seeing if I can make a go over there for a little bit as well. If not East Africa. I do have the challenge of the time zones with the job and the team, so I'll see how that works, and then we'll go from there. So drop a like, subscribe. I'll continue to make more of these videos, and I'm gonna try to drop some more helpful videos about just the aspects of travel as well. I've been trying to pepper those in when I have time in making these videos. So if you have questions that you'd like me to tackle in a short video, I can do that as well. Pop them in the comments, and I'm more than happy to get to them and answer them. If you want to just talk about your journey, I will drop a link to 2 links. One, we can do a brief discovery call and we can talk about your challenges. But if you really want to dive in and have a strategy for a problem you want to solve and you really want to get started, then you can book a consultation with me. I'll drop a link for that as well in the show notes. Thanks everyone for listening. I hope you have an amazing week, and I will talk to you next time. Cheers.